A school ruled by fear, gangs in the hallways, teachers who've already given up. Then a new substitute arrives. Quiet, disciplined, but behind the classroom calm is a man trained for war. As violence tightens its grip, he doesn't run, he fights back. One by one, the predators become the hunted. This isn't just about education, it's about justice, survival, and payback. Let's step into the dangerous world of the substitute. The story begins in an American city. After completing a special military mission, we are introduced to a skilled mercenary and former military operative named Jonathan. Although his team successfully finishes the mission, a single mistake by one member leads the government to punish all of them. The entire team is discharged from the military at once. Suddenly unemployed, a frustrated Jonathan finally decides to return home. The story then shifts to a high school in Miami, but this is no ordinary school. Almost every student behaves like a gangster. They bully each other and even intimidate teachers. In the middle of this chaos works Jane, a sincere and responsible teacher who once believed she could change students' lives through education. But in this school, her dream has nearly turned into a nightmare. One day during class, a massive fight breaks out on campus. Jane fails to control the situation. Later, another teacher, Sherman, somehow manages to save a student from being beaten. Sadly, instead of showing gratitude, the student responds with rude behavior and walks away, making it clear that morality barely exists in this school. The root of this chaos is a student named Lucas. Inside the school, he runs a gang called Kings of Destruction, COD. Jane calls Lucas in and tries to reason with him, warning that this path will destroy his future. But Lucas insults her, threatens her, and makes it clear that he listens to no one. Realizing how serious the situation is, Jane goes to the principal with Sherman and asks for action against the gang violence. The principal bluntly states that nothing can be done without proof. Furious at this indifference, Jane leaves the office. After school, in the parking lot, Lucas and his gang are waiting for her. They surround her car, pour cement into the locks, make obscene gestures, and publicly humiliate her. Jane barely manages to escape in her car, but they continue threatening her. Come back to school and see what happens. Terrified, she rushes home. At home, she finds that her husband Jonathan has returned. He tells her that he has been discharged from the military and is now completely unemployed. Jane comforts him, saying they will find a way forward together. That very night, one of Jonathan's former teammates calls him with a job offer. At a club, Jonathan learns that the job involves protecting a drug shipment. His teammates explain that it pays extremely well, but Jonathan firmly refuses, saying he will never take part in illegal work. Insulted, he walks away. The next morning, while Jane is jogging on the beach, a strong man suddenly attacks her with a baton, striking her legs. She collapses to the ground. It becomes clear that Lucas has sent someone to take revenge. At that moment, Jonathan arrives, defeats the attacker, and rushes Jane to the hospital. Doctors reveal that both of her leg bones are broken and that she will need long-term rest. At the hospital, Jane tells Jonathan everything: the KOD gang, Lucas, the violence at school, and the threats. Jonathan assures her that she will be safe. Since Jane will take time to recover, Jonathan makes a decision. He will go to the school as a substitute teacher in her place, infiltrate the environment, and deal with the gangs from the inside. With help from acquaintances, he creates a fake teaching certificate and takes on the identity of Mr. Smith. At school, Jonathan quickly realizes how unruly the students truly are. During his interview with the principal, he presents himself professionally and is hired as a substitute teacher. Although the principal advises him to remain professional, Jonathan has only one real goal: to dismantle Lucas and the KOD gang from within. The moment he enters his first class, he is met with total chaos. Students are listening to music, shouting obscenities, and even dancing provocatively. No one pays attention to the teacher. Calmly, he introduces himself. "I'm Mr. Smith, your new substitute teacher." But he knows words alone will not work in this school. A real battle is about to begin. As the class continues, Jonathan realizes the students have no respect for him at all. Some smoke openly in front of him, others mock him. From this, he understands that their problem is not academics. It is a complete lack of discipline and direction that has turned them so wild. During lunch, he speaks with other teachers and uncovers an even darker truth. Sherman and the librarian Dylan reveal that the entire school is effectively under the control of the KOD gang. They warn him that speaking out against the gang could cost him his life. Dylan also suspects that the attack on Jane was connected to this gang. He even questions the principal's role, suggesting that his constant demands demand for proof is not as innocent as it seems. These revelations plant a seed of suspicion in Jonathan's mind. When he speaks with the principal, he begins to notice certain things: an extremely expensive watch on his wrist, constant contact with powerful figures, and most importantly, his philosophy. Power is everything. Money creates power. Hearing this, Jonathan becomes convinced the principal is connected to the gang. That very day, Jonathan asks for help from his former military team. Together, they plan to install hidden cameras around the school to gather solid evidence against the principal and the gang. The next day in class, chaos breaks out again when a student named Tui throws a can at the board. Jonathan catches it mid-air and throws it straight back at his face. When Tui and another student, Rock, attempt to attack him with weapons, Jonathan instantly twists their wrists and disarms them. His military skill shocks the entire class into silence. He issues a clear warning: "What you did to the previous teachers you will not do to me. You won't be able to handle who I really am." For the first time, the classroom becomes completely quiet, and he begins teaching. When Tui and Rock go to complain to the principal comes to the class and is stunned. A classroom that was once full of shouting is now completely focused on learning. Still, suspicion grows in his mind. Jonathan may be a threat to his plans. Later, the principal calls Jonathan to his office and says that touching students is illegal and therefore he must resign. But Jonathan calmly responds that, according to the law, he cannot be fired without a 2-week notice. Forced to comply, the principal issues the notice and secretly begins investigating Jonathan's background. Very quickly, he discovers the truth. Mr. Smith is actually a former military operative who entered the school using a fake certificate. Meanwhile, Jonathan's teaching begins to change many students. They slowly start focusing on their studies, but Lucas and his gang are still waiting for their chance to take revenge. After being discharged from the hospital, Jane returns home. There, she finds several letters written by students apologizing and asking her to come back to school. Reading them, Jane breaks down in tears. For the first time in a long while, she realizes that her dream of changing lives through teaching may actually be coming true. Jonathan comforts her, but still keeps his secret mission to himself. The next day at school, Lucas and his group arrive late to class. Jonathan punishes them by ordering them to write "sorry" on the board 100 times. At first, Lucas refuses, but remembering what happened the previous day, he finally complies, though not without threatening. "We'll settle this outside of school." That day, Jonathan does something different in class. Before teaching, he asks the students about their dreams and future plans. No one can give a clear answer. Then he tells them a story from his own college days, how one gang's crimes destroyed everyone's lives. Some went to prison, some ended up on the streets, and the greatest punishment was suffered by their children. He calmly asks, "Do you really want your children to live the same kind of life you are living now?" The entire class falls silent, heads drop. For the first time, they realize Jonathan is not just there to discipline them, he wants to change their lives. After class, the principal praises Jonathan and asks him to come to a meeting in the afternoon. But behind the scenes, he secretly joins hands with Lucas to plan Jonathan's removal from the school. The reason is simple: the principal himself is working with the KOD gang, using the school as a front for drug operations. Through his hidden cameras, Jonathan sees the meeting between the principal and Lucas and realizes the truth: their goal is to frame him or kill him. During the meeting in the library, Lucas and his men open fire on Jonathan, but Jonathan had already come wearing a bulletproof vest. He defeats the attackers and saves Dylan from being killed. Later, when he confronts the principal, both men pretend nothing happened and maintain a normal appearance. Meanwhile, Sherman goes to the hospital and learns the truth: Jonathan is actually Jane's husband. Jane also discovers everything. At home, Jonathan finally tells her the full truth. He deliberately entered the school to gather evidence against the principal and the gang. His mission is to expose them and free the school from their control. That very night, Jonathan and his team intercept a massive drug deal near the harbor. They dump the drugs into the water and keep the money. The next day, the incident makes national news. The principal is furious. His buyers have lost both their money and their product. He immediately realizes that Jonathan is behind everything. Jonathan then gathers the students in the school auditorium and announces that a foreign company has made a major donation to the school. He begins fulfilling the facilities the students have always wanted: new clubs, a better cafeteria, a music room. In reality, all of it is being funded with the money taken from the drug dealers. Students become hopeful, while the principal becomes certain that Jonathan is systematically destroying his empire. On the night of the parent meeting, Sherman and a student named Mira, witness the principal and the gang moving a massive amount of drugs in the school basement. Sherman tells Mira to hide and escape, but he himself is captured. The next day, an announcement is made. Jonathan is reported to have died in an accident, and Sherman is said to have been shot dead. But when Jonathan secretly returns to the school alive, he understands the truth. Everything is being orchestrated by the principal. To uncover the full truth, Jonathan tracks down an old contact named Max. Under pressure, Max confesses. The real leader of the entire drug empire is John, the school principal himself. Meanwhile, Lucas and his men kidnap Jane, Mira, and Rock in an attempt to lure Jonathan into a trap. But the moment Jonathan enters the building, he sets his own counter trap and defeats them all. During the confrontation, Rock shoots and kills Lucas. Mira becomes the key eyewitness to everything that happened. For the final battle, Jonathan and his team infiltrate the school at night. As they attempt to recover the drugs hidden in the basement, the principal launches a full-scale armed attack. What follows is a brutal firefight filled with explosions and gunfire. Though outnumbered, Jonathan's team holds their ground with superior military skill. However, several of his closest friends are killed in the battle. In the final moments, the principal personally attempts to shoot Jonathan, but Jonathan fires first. The principal is killed on the spot, and with him, the entire drug network collapses. At dawn, standing amid the ruins, Jonathan realizes that none of his teammates survived. He is devastated by the loss of his brothers in arms, yet one thought gives him peace. The school has been saved, countless students' futures have been protected. Like a true soldier, he risked his life to complete the mission, and so the story ends with a thrilling and emotional conclusion. Not the victory of a teacher, but the battle of a warrior who restores a school to what it was meant to be, a place of education, hope, and second chances. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you spending time here. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe for more every week. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload.